All right, so today we're going deep into Tibetan culture and beliefs, and we're following the path of a young man who's training to be a lama.
Mm-hmm.
And our main source is The Third Eye, the autobiography of Tuesday Lobsang Rampa.
It's a fascinating book.
It is.
Full of incredible details.
Yeah. And I know what you're thinking. This book has been pretty controversial.
Yeah.
But for our purposes today, just think of it like a time capsule.
Yeah.
A snapshot of Tibetan life.
Uh-huh.
You know how Rampa experienced it?
Exactly.
And we're going to sift through the details and try to pull out the nuggets of cultural insight.
That's what we're doing here.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to look at it like a window into a world that most of us only dream about.
Exactly.
From the markets of Lhasa
Yeah.
to those mountain Lamaseries.
Yeah. And it's a hidden world.
Did I mention man-lifting kites?
Oh, yeah.
Because those are apparently a thing.
They're totally a thing.
They're totally a thing. We'll get to that.
We will.
But first, let's rewind to Rampa's childhood.
He grew up in a well-off Tibetan family, and his early life was all about discipline and tradition, learning to ride a horse at like 4 years old.
Wow. Can you imagine?
That's young. His pony knacking sounds like he had a mind of his own.
Yeah.
And a knack for just tossing him off at any opportunity.
I can imagine.
But beyond that rigorous training, Rampa also gives us a peek into the games the Tibetan children played.
Oh, yeah.
Archery, stilt walking, and even one involving kites and ravines.
Oh.
I
So
mean,
this isn't just child's play. These
Oh.
games were designed to build resilience.
yeah,
To prepare these kids for life in such a harsh environment.
exactly. It's like,
Like the Tibetan plateau.
Yeah.
It's beautiful,
yeah,
but it's a tough place to live.
it is a tough place to live. And speaking of paths, Rampa's journey towards becoming a lama really takes shape with this ceremony of the opening of the book.
Right.
Astrologers studied his birth chart, and they pretty much predicted his future.
Yeah.
They said, yep, this kid is destined for the Lamasery.
Tough times ahead.
Tough times ahead.
Exactly.
What's interesting to me here is this Tibetan belief in destiny
Yeah.
and the power of these predictions. It's a totally different way of thinking about your life path than what
Right.
we're used to.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Yeah, it highlights the importance of astrology and Tibetan culture.
Yeah.
And this view of the interconnectedness between the cosmos and our own lives.
Right.
So major decisions,
Yeah.
including a person's career path, were very often guided or influenced by these astrological reading.
Makes you wonder how much of our lives we think we control
Right.
versus what might already be written in the stars.
Yeah.
But back to Rampa, his next stop is Chakpori Lamasery, the temple of Tibetan medicine.
Oh, wow.
Getting in was no cakewalk.
No.
He had to stand outside the gates for 3 days and nights, no complaining allowed.
That's a test.
Talk about an entrance exam.
It's a serious test.
So this wasn't just about endurance.
No.
It was a symbolic act of purification and a demonstration of commitment.
Exactly. They wanted to ensure that only those with a true desire,
Yeah.
true dedication to this path
Yeah.
would enter.
Once inside, it was all about adapting to a strict routine.
Okay.
Midnight services, chanting memorization drills, even kitchen duty, where, oops, he ends up getting badly burned. But get this, a medical lama treats him using traditional Tibetan medicine.
Oh, interesting.
So even in this moment of crisis, we see this blend of spiritual practice and practical healing.
Yeah.
It's like those two things are inseparable.
Absolutely. This holistic approach
Yeah.
to healing highlights a key difference, I think, between Tibetan and Western medicine.
What do you mean?
Well, Western medicine often focuses on the biological mechanisms of disease.
Okay.
Tibetan medicine emphasizes the body's energy systems
Uh-huh.
and the connection between mind, body, and spirit.
Okay, buckle up, because things are about to get really interesting.
Right.
This is where Rampa starts learning about the third eye and undergoes this intense process to open his own.
Intense is putting it lightly.
I mean, we're talking surgical procedures and some pretty vivid descriptions.
Yeah.
That might make you squirm a bit.
You've been warned.
But beyond the shock value, what does this all mean?
Right.
What exactly is the third eye?
So in Tibetan belief, the third eye isn't a literal physical eye.
Okay.
It's more like a sixth sense,
Okay.
an ability to perceive auras and the spiritual realm.
Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt a certain energy, good or bad?
Yeah.
Or maybe you met someone and just felt an instant connection like you'd known them before.
Yeah.
Could that be your third eye giving you glimpses?
It's a great question to consider.
So Rampa claimed that this newfound ability allowed him to see illnesses
Yeah.
and perform surgery using clairvoyance.
Wow.
He even compares Tibetan and Western medical practices
Right.
and suggests that Tibetan medicine prioritizes practical results over theory.
They're all about getting it done.
It's like we don't just study it, we do it and we see results.
Right.
But I'm curious, how would a clairvoyant surgery even work?
So Rampa describes it as being able to see the body's energy flows
Okay.
and identify blockages or imbalances. And he claims to have used this insight to guide his surgical interventions,
Wow.
even performing delicate procedures without traditional instruments.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
His training at Chakpori wasn't just about medicine. It involved developing these incredible mental and spiritual abilities.
Absolutely, a holistic approach.
He even mentions practicing judo and learning about astral travel.
Oh, wow.
Judo I get, but astral travel,
Right.
that's a whole other level.
So astral travel, in simple terms, is the concept of separating your consciousness from your physical body and traveling to different realms.
So it's like your spirit taking a road trip, leaving your body behind for a bit.
You could say that.
That's wild.
It is pretty wild.
And this was part of his training.
It was.
What was the purpose of learning something like that?
Well, in Tibetan Buddhism, astral travel is considered a way to explore different dimensions of reality and gain spiritual insights.
So it's not just about escaping the physical world.
No.
It's about expanding your consciousness,
Exactly.
understanding the nature of existence.
That's the goal.
Makes you wonder what kind of adventures Rampa's spirit got up to, right?
We can only imagine.
And all this intense training, the memorization techniques, the physical and mental discipline, was all building up to something bigger.
It was.
But we're going to have to leave you hanging for just a moment. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve deeper into Rampa's experiences in China and the knowledge that he brings back to Tibet.
It's a wild ride.
It is a wild ride.
So we're back, and as we journey further with Tuesday Lobsang Rampa, we see how his experiences in China really broadened his understanding of medicine and spirituality.
Yeah, his Tibetan training really prepared him for this, shaping his ability to kind of navigate a world that was drastically different from his own.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild to think that he was sent to China at such a young age, especially with all the political tension brewing between Tibet and China back then.
It was a delicate time.
Really shows the level of trust they had in him.
Yeah.
How important his mission to learn and preserve this Tibetan knowledge really was.
Yeah, it wasn't just a study abroad trip.
Yeah.
It was about bridging cultures, gaining new perspectives, and ultimately safeguarding the wisdom of his heritage, in the face of potential threats.
And China definitely threw him some curveballs.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about navigating these bustling city streets.
Right.
And encountering a completely different approach to medicine.
It was a whole new world.
Yeah. He had to adapt quickly, drawing on all that resilience and resourcefulness that he developed back at the Lamasery.
He had to think on his feet.
Yeah.
Rampa describes Chinese medical practices as being more advanced in certain areas.
Like what?
Particularly surgery.
Okay.
They had instruments and techniques that were unfamiliar to him, but he absorbed it all and integrated that new knowledge into what he already knew.
It's so cool how he embraced this new knowledge without dismissing his Tibetan training.
Yeah.
Really speaks to his willingness to learn and grow and to kind of recognize that wisdom can be found in these unexpected places.
True knowledge isn't limited to a single culture or tradition.
Exactly.
It's about being open
Yeah.
to these diverse perspectives, blending different approaches, and ultimately arriving at a more comprehensive understanding.
And he wasn't just passively soaking up information.
No, he wasn't.
He was actively questioning the methods he observed,
He was thinking critically.
comparing them to his Tibetan training,
Yeah.
even challenging some of the practices that he encountered,
He wasn't afraid to speak his mind.
which shows his critical thinking skills were definitely honed during all that rigorous Lamasery education.
Oh, absolutely. That training really shaped his mind.
He recounts an incident where he questions the hygiene practices during a surgical procedure.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't about disrespecting Chinese medicine. It was about advocating for what he believed was the best approach for the patient.
His compassion really shines through in these moments.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to speak his mind, even though he was a guest in a foreign land.
It takes courage to do that.
It takes guts to stand up for what you believe in,
Absolutely.
especially when you're surrounded by people who may not share your views.
And this unwavering commitment to his principles, I think, comes from his strong spiritual foundation.
You think so?
Yeah, his training at Chakpori instilled in him a deep sense of ethics and compassion.
Right.
And those guided his actions even in these challenging situations.
He also had some interesting encounters with Chinese spiritual practitioners,
Oh, really?
exploring their beliefs and practices.
So it wasn't just about medicine.
Right. It wasn't just about medicine. It was about broadening his understanding of spirituality as a whole.
Absolutely.
He describes meeting with Taoist masters, observing their meditation techniques,
Interesting.
learning about their concepts of energy flow. He even found parallels between their beliefs and Tibetan beliefs.
It's fascinating how these seemingly different traditions
Right.
can have so much in common.
So even though he was immersed in a completely different culture, he still looked for those common threads that connect us
Exacts.
across seemingly different traditions.
It highlights the universality of certain spiritual principles.
What do you mean?
I mean, the paths may differ,
Yeah.
but the ultimate goal, whether it's inner peace, enlightenment, connection with something greater,
Right.
there's often common ground.
He even dabbled in Chinese martial arts,
Oh, wow.
learning new forms of combat that were different from the judo he mastered in Tibet.
Always the eager student.
Yeah?
He saw this as a chance to further develop his physical and mental discipline,
Right.
recognizing that different forms of martial arts could offer unique insights and benefits.
He sounds like he was constantly pushing his limits, welcoming new challenges, and seizing these opportunities for growth.
He was a true seeker.
And throughout his time in China, he never forgot his mission to preserve Tibetan knowledge.
Right.
He diligently documented his experiences, comparing and contrasting Chinese and Tibetan approaches to medicine and spirituality.
He was building a bridge between two worlds.
So he was always learning, always growing,
Yeah.
always striving to bridge cultures and expand his understanding.
That's the amazing thing about Rampa's journey.
What is it?
It wasn't a straight line.
Right.
It was a continuous process of exploration, adaptation, and integration.
Mhm.
He was a true lifelong learner, always seeking to deepen his knowledge and connect with the world around him.
And eventually the time came for Rampa to return to Tibet.
Yeah.
Armed with all this knowledge and experience he gained in China, he was ready to face the uncertainties that awaited his homeland.
Tibet was on the brink of change.
But hold on a sec. Before we dive into that, let's pause and think about this for a minute.
Okay.
How do you think Rampa's experiences in China and his encounters with different medical and spiritual practices shaped his own beliefs
That's a great question.
and his understanding of the world?
It makes you consider the transformative power of these cross-cultural experiences.
Right.
Imagine being exposed to such different ways of thinking and healing.
Right.
It would undoubtedly challenge your assumptions,
Uh-huh.
broaden your perspective.
Do you think he returned to Tibet with kind of a renewed appreciation for his own traditions?
Possibly.
Or do you think he maybe questioned some of the things he grew up with?
It's likely a bit of both. He
Yeah.
probably gained a deeper understanding of the strengths and limitations
Right.
of both Tibetan and Chinese approaches.
It's like seeing your own culture through a new lens,
Exactly.
recognizing its beauty and wisdom,
Yeah.
but also acknowledging areas for growth.
It's all about perspective.
And think about how this relates to us today.
Yeah.
We live in a world where we can connect with people from all over the globe,
Right.
learn about different cultures,
It's an incredible opportunity
expand our understanding of the world,
to step outside of our own cultural bubbles. Right.
and engage with different perspectives.
It can challenge us, inspire us,
Absolutely.
and ultimately help us grow as individuals.
That's the beauty of it.
So Rampa returns to Tibet, bringing with him this wealth of knowledge and experience. But he's stepping back into a situation that's becoming increasingly unstable.
Yeah, remember those predictions about conflict and upheaval?
Yeah.
Well, it seems things were coming to a head,
Right.
both politically and spiritually.
It was like walking into a pressure cooker.
It was a tense time.
Yeah, both literally and figuratively.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't waste any time getting back to work.
He was a man on a mission.
He talks about throwing himself into teaching and healing,
Yeah.
sharing the knowledge he gained in China
Right.
with his fellow monks and the wider community.
He understood the importance of integrating new ideas and techniques
Yeah.
while also upholding the core principles of Tibetan medicine and spirituality.
It was a delicate balancing act,
It was.
navigating between tradition and innovation.
But I bet he faced some pushback.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
I can imagine some of the older monks weren't too keen on these newfangled ideas from China.
There was definitely some skepticism,
Yeah.
especially from those who saw Chinese medicine as a threat to Tibetan traditions.
But Rampa approached these challenges with patience and respect.
He was a skilled diplomat.
Proving the effectiveness of his methods through successful treatments and insightful teachings.
He let his actions speak louder than words.
It was about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly.
And all the while, he continued his own spiritual development.
He never stopped learning.
Engaging in even more advanced practices.
Pushing his boundaries.
He describes these intense meditation retreats.
Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries of his third eye abilities.
It was intense training.
Exploring the depths of Tibetan mysticism.
He was delving into the esoteric, the practices that are often kept secret, reserved for those who have demonstrated exceptional dedication, spiritual maturity.
It sounds like he was preparing for something big.
He was.
Something beyond the everyday duties of a lama.
And he was, remember those predictions about him facing hardship?
Yeah.
And leaving Tibet?
Right.
Well, it seems those predictions were about to come true.
Oh, boy.
In a way no one could have imagined.
Here's where it gets really intense.
All right.
Rampa describes a series of events that completely turn his life upside down.
Things are about to change.
First, there's this massive earthquake that rocks Tibet.
Wow.
Causing widespread destruction and chaos.
A natural disaster.
This natural disaster serves as a powerful metaphor.
It does.
For the upheaval and uncertainty.
Right.
That was gripping Tibet on multiple levels.
A time of great turmoil.
It was a time of great turmoil, both physically and spiritually.
Absolutely.
Then he has another encounter with the Dalai Lama, who delivers some startling news.
Oh.
He tells Rampa that he must leave Tibet. That his knowledge and abilities are needed elsewhere, and that his destiny lies beyond the borders of his homeland.
That's a major turning point.
It is a major turning point in Rampa's journey.
A moment that forces him to confront his attachment to his homeland. And embrace a path that's shrouded in uncertainty.
And to make things even more complicated,
he's
given a new identity, a new name, a new mission to travel to the West and share the wisdom of Tibet.
Wow.
With a world that's largely unaware of its teachings.
It's a daunting task.
It is filled with risk and opportunity. He's leaving behind everything familiar.
Everything he knows.
Venturing into a world vastly different from his own.
A whole new world.
With the weight of his Tibetan heritage on his shoulders.
It's like being thrown into the unknown.
It is.
With only his faith and his training as his compass.
And that's where the third eye ends. Leaving us with a feeling of both closure and anticipation. We followed Rampa through his childhood.
His rigorous training.
His transformative experiences in China.
And his return to a Tibet facing a turbulent future.
Now he's starting this new chapter. Carrying the wisdom of Tibet with him as he steps into the unknown.
What a journey.
It is. What a journey. From a playful kid struggling to stay on his pony to a seasoned lama entrusted with a mission that could change the world.
It's a story about resilience, determination, and unwavering faith.
But what does it all mean?
Right.
What can we take away from this deep dive into the third eye?
I think Rampa's journey reminds us that knowledge and wisdom aren't confined to a single place, culture, or tradition. It's about being open to learning from different perspectives, integrating new ideas, and constantly challenging our own assumptions.
It's like that saying, the journey is the destination.
Exactly.
It's about embracing the process of learning and growth. Not just the end result.
And secondly, I think Rampa's story reminds us of the power of cultural exchange. To be open to different perspectives, to find those common threads that connect us across cultures. And
to recognize that wisdom and beauty can be found in the most unexpected of places.
It's about building bridges instead of walls, right?
Exactly.
And recognizing that diversity isn't something to be feared, but rather something to be celebrated and learned from.
Absolutely. And finally, I think Rampa's journey is a powerful reminder of the importance of resilience. To face challenges head on, to never give up on our dreams, and to always strive to make a positive impact on the world, even in the face of adversity.
Beautifully said. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those hidden treasures of knowledge and wisdom. Until next time, keep diving deep. Okay, so we're back, and we left off with Tuesday Lobsang Rampa facing this huge decision. To leave behind everything he knows and embark on this mission to the West. Talk about a cliffhanger. Right. It's like he's being called to be an ambassador for Tibetan wisdom in a world that's totally foreign to him. It is a daunting task. Yeah, imagine leaving behind your home, your culture, your entire way of life,
to venture into the unknown.
Right. And to do so with the purpose of sharing teachings that might be met with skepticism or even resistance.
It's a huge leap of faith.
It is.
And it speaks to the depth of his commitment to his beliefs and his mission.
Yeah, he's stepping into the role of a cultural bridge.
Yeah.
Trying to connect these two worlds that seem so far apart.
And this idea of bridging cultures, I think it's incredibly relevant today.
Oh, absolutely.
We live in a world where globalization and interconnectedness are constantly increasing.
Right.
Understanding different cultures and perspectives is more important than ever.
I completely agree.
So Rampa's story isn't just some fascinating tale from a faraway land.
No.
It's a reminder of the importance of cultural exchange and the potential for growth that comes from embracing these different ways of seeing the world.
Right. And it challenges us to consider how we approach the unknown in our own lives.
What do you mean?
Are we open to new ideas, new perspectives? Do we seek to understand those who are different from us?
It makes you think.
It does.
And it makes Rampa's journey even more impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't just studying ancient texts or meditating in a cave.
No.
He was actively engaging with the world, pushing his boundaries, and seeking to bridge the gap between different cultures and belief systems.
He was a true pioneer.
Yeah, paving the way for a greater understanding and appreciation of Tibetan culture in the West.
And he did all of this while facing immense personal and political challenges.
Right. Tibet was going through a really tumultuous period.
It was.
And he himself was forced to leave his homeland.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
Yeah.
And the power of faith and purpose.
Right.
To guide us through even the most difficult times.
It's a story that leaves us with a sense of wonder and possibility.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that there's so much more to discover about the world and about ourselves. If we're willing to step outside of our comfort zones and kind of embrace the unknown.
To be open to new experiences.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the third eye, what are some key takeaways that you think our listeners can apply to their own lives?
Well, first and foremost, I think Rampa's story encourages us to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
To never stop exploring, questioning, and seeking knowledge.
Right.
Even if it means challenging our own assumptions and venturing beyond our familiar horizons.
It's about embracing the process of learning and growth, not just the end result.
Exactly. And secondly, I think Rampa's story reminds us of the power of cultural exchange.
Yeah.
To be open to different perspectives, to find those common threads that connect us across cultures, and to recognize that wisdom and beauty can be found in the most unexpected places.
It's about building bridges instead of walls.
It is.
And recognizing that diversity isn't something to be feared,
no,
but rather something to be celebrated and learned from.
Absolutely. And finally, I think Rampa's journey is a powerful reminder of the importance of resilience. To face challenges head on, to never give up on our dreams. And to always strive to make a positive impact on the world, even in the face of adversity.
Beautifully said. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those hidden treasures of knowledge and wisdom. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Please like, share and subscribe.